Good morning, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing a video to you on a subject that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know. And this is going to be a brief analysis of part of a movie and book that you may have seen or heard or read called The Virgin Suicides. And it came out some decades ago at this point. It's not a new movie, but there's an interesting scene in the movie, and I want to cover that. It's still relevant, and it was relevant at the time and is seemingly, unfortunately, becoming more so as the problem continues to exist. The problem being the title of the movie or book. It's The Virgin Suicides. Hopefully we can agree that that's a problem. So what happens in the story, I'll just get into it. There's a little tiny bit of a spoiler, but it doesn't spoil the ending. A upper middle class house owned by a math teacher, a high school math teacher, and his wife, and there is occupied by their 5 daughters of young age. They're all under 18, and they all live in this house together in a nice, safe, normal neighborhood, and they're a very nice, safe, normal family. And the interesting thing about this movie is how nice and safe and normal everything is. And what happens is the family plans a party. They're obviously protective of their girls because they're worried about their safety, and that's why presumably they bought this house in this nice neighborhood and worked so hard to provide for them with all the conveniences and security that they could get. So they plan this party because they're intelligent, normal people. They want to obviously socialize and provide for that as well for the girls. But here's the problem, and this is a common problem, and it's not the suicides that happen later in the movie or the story. It's the micromanagement that has to take place at this point because everything is regulated. Chance has been eliminated. Autonomy has been eliminated. Risk and possible danger has been eliminated from the girls' lives completely. And I think this is the point that goes unrecognized and unspoken in the movie. So I want to cover that just really quickly here because it's very important. So what happens is the family, the mother and father, plan this. It's a birthday party or just a school party or something, and they invite these boys over. They pick the boys for the girls, which is kind of silly. And the girls are dressed up in their gowns or whatever. I mean, they look beautiful, and these boys come over who have been selected, who are presumably safe enough to come over, and they're not the caliber of boys that these girls would choose for themselves. Here's the point: these are bad bitches, first of all. If you'll pardon the expression, these young girls are all beautiful, just unbelievably gorgeous, beautiful girls. And the boys that the family picks to come over for this party, well, one of them has Down syndrome, and you kind of tells you about the rest of them. They chose them for a reason, that they were safe enough, and the girls probably wouldn't want to get busy, so to speak. So what's the harm, right? Well, here's your harm. What's the harm? One of the younger girls, not I think the youngest in the group, but in the middle of the party, she goes upstairs. Everybody's kind of not having a great time, and this girl goes upstairs and throws herself out the window. This is the first suicide. She dies in a spectacular and gruesome fashion on a wrought iron fence. And the reaction of the family, obviously it's a terrible tragedy, and what moves forward from this event kind of sets the plot and the story for the rest of the movie. They remove the fence. Here's their response to it: that darn wrought iron fence shouldn't have been there. Okay. Wow. So they have a backhoe, yank this thing out of the ground, and they cuss it out, and they batten down the hatches. And this is what happens, and this is the point of the movie. This is not subtle or underspoken or understated in the movie. They tighten down the house and the remaining girls with what's described as maximum security. They are If they weren't prisoners before, they are now in earnest prisoners, because the parents and the whole community are in a panic about what happened. So they make things worse by imprisoning the girls. They're not allowed to speak to anybody or go anywhere or do anything. And one by one, long story short, they all end up killing themselves, every single one of them. It's a very sad story, but it's illustrative of a climate that is prevalent. It's our society is very much separated from a natural order, a natural state of things. And I'm not suggesting we should all live in the jungle. I'm not suggesting we should forego technology or conveniences or civilized processes. I'm saying that when you depart from nature, there's a cost. And if you fail to understand elimination of risk or chance from your equations, whoever it is, whether it's your children or yourself or in business, understand that you're also eliminating reward, and that by micromanaging people, you're subverting their purpose. You're taking it and making it your own purpose. Here's the problem: you start living vicariously through other people, and it becomes a living hell for them, even on the best days. If you're trying to tell someone how to live and what to do and how to act and who to hang out with, suddenly it's just not even about them. They're along for the ride on your show, and they begin to exist by degrees to make you feel better about yourself. And we do this unconsciously. Here's the problem: we do this without realizing it, and we slide right into it because it's so easy, because of technology, because of safety and brick houses, so to speak, because everything has to be managed, right, for safety. Okay, well, how's it working out? And what's the goal? I'm going to wrap up. I'm just over seven minutes. If the goal is not health and happiness, I'm going to emphasize that second part. If the goal isn't happiness and empowering people to pursue their own happiness, which should ring a bell, then I would say, first of all, you don't really love someone if you're not actively trying to help them get stronger, to grow and become more free, happy, and independent. If you're not, actively helping them do that and wishing it for them, then it's more about you. And it's more about participating in a parasite culture, being a vampire, and erring on the side of cowardice. And there's always a cost to that. And I've covered this in more than half my videos at this point. Erring on the side of safety, which you may have heard of, rolls you downhill. It's the path of least resistance. So every time you do that, yeah, okay, you ended up more safe because of it, but there was a cost. And the cost in this case was you made someone feel like shit. And you did it enough that they had no ideas of how to fix it, to the point where it wasn't even worth living anymore. And this happens to a lot of people. I think it's based on a true story. I'm not entirely sure. Look it up. It's a great movie, great book. If you like reading, check it out. The Virgin Suicides also has a great soundtrack by the movie Air, or I'm sorry, the band Air, French band. Anyway, reach out with questions or comments to whitehotrobot@gmail.com. Thank you.